Hello, this is Spellbinder's report doing the Unfiltered News from the Reality Zone, compiled by G. Edward Griffin. Started out from January 29th to February 4th. No U.S. dollars, please. This is how bad it's getting. First article on the agenda. First headlines. These are the headlines of this only. Mexico is purging U.S. dollar from its economy. It no longer allows purchases in dollars, not even in American-owned stores such as Walmart. That's because the dollar is losing value so fast it is expected to collapse very soon, and Mexico does not want to be left holding the worthless notes. Amazing. We have come to the point where people prefer Mexican pesos over U.S. dollars. Are your savings still in dollars? People's Voice, February 4th. U.S. Treasury Department, Federal Reserve threaten Armageddon in America if Congress fails to raise the debt limit. Again, it's the same argument used to push Congress into supporting the bank bailouts of the past 2 years. Isn't that amazing? They're threatening the sky will fall and people will riot in the street. Yeah, they'll probably do it if they raise it. Activist Post, February 4th. J.P. Morgan is being sued for being compliant in the Bernie Madoff scandal in spite of the fact that the bank suspected him of being a crook 18 months before the scam was revealed to the public. Daily Mail, February 4th. Our documentary on chemtrails, What in the World Are They Spraying, was featured in a CBS Atlanta affiliate story. The station is requesting photos of chemtrails for proof of spraying. Intel Hub, February 3rd. Last year, the city of Oakland, California, passed an ordinance allowing marijuana farms. Now federal prosecutors are threatening to prosecute growers and even city council members if they follow through. The issue is not whether people should grow pot, but who is authorized to make that decision. The 10th Amendment says that the states and the people have the authority in all matters except those specifically described elsewhere in the Constitution, and that does not include decreeing what crops may not be grown. Therefore, it is up to the state or the people and not the federal government. Raw story, February 3rd. U.S. federal judge orders BP claim administrator Ken Finberg to stop telling golf victims that he is independent because even though approved by Obama, he is working on behalf of BP. Finberg is offering settlements that prevent victims from suing BP or any other responsible party after they sign the release. So if they sign the paper, that's it. They get that and nothing more. They can't go back and sue. Don't sign the paper. Sue them first. Now that the victims know he is not independent, more lawsuits are expected. WTVY, February 3rd. The U.S. Whole Foods, Stonyfield Farms, and Organic Valley, three of the largest organic food brands, say they will not fight genetically modified foods, but instead will coexist with them. They're scoundrels and don't buy from them. They are told by the FDA that a complete ban was not an option, so they chose the best they could get, which is partial regulation of some crops. Very courageous. By the way, the CEOs of two of these companies are personal friends of the head of the USDA, who is so close to Monsanto that he has traveled on its corporate jet on political campaigns. The author of this article says this is not a major scandal, just disappointing. Our view is that it is a major sellout with a distinct odor of corruption. Fast Company, February 2nd. U.S. 9 states, including Maine, Montana, Nebraska, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Oregon, Texas, and Wyoming, have introduced legislation to nullify Obamacare under the 10th Amendment. Some of the bills include jail time for any federal agent who tries to enforce the unconstitutional law. This is a good start. Now let's see if the legislators really mean it or are just trying to look good to the voters. When enough states reject a bad federal law, it has little chance of implementation. 10th Amendment Center, February 2nd. British and American telecommunication companies help Egypt shut down the internet and identify dissenters. Democracy Now!, February 1st. More than 80 physicians, surgeons, scientists, and other experts go on the record stating that there is no real science behind vaccinations and it does more harm than good. Natural News, February 1st. U.S. watchdog group says Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas appears to have knowingly and willfully violated the law for 20 years by falsifying income disclosure forms that are used to reveal possible conflict of interest among public employees. PR News, February 1st. Microsoft warns of a security flaw that affects users of Internet Explorer, 900 million people. Although it is not known if anyone has yet taken advantage of the flaw, it is possible for hackers to take over computers and steal personal data. Users are urged to download a free fix from the Internet. Daily Mail, February 1st. Heard there was a problem. Some people were saying that shut their computer down. I'd wait for the main fix when it comes in with the security update. Egypt. Sources inside the government, or use another one like Firefox, or for your anyways, Egypt. Sources inside the government saying that the U.S. has had secret meetings with the Muslim Brotherhood, which is the main opposition group, and that it has been covertly encouraging the current anti-government demonstrations. It's likely that whoever comes to power will be beholden to the U.S. for funding and support. Do not expect true reform, merely a change from puppet A to puppet B. Win. WorldNet Daily, February 1st. Egypt shut down internet service, making it difficult for people to organize. Here is a list of alternative methods of communication in case your government pulls the plug on the internet. This is wiki style, which means anyone can add to it. There are several very interesting alternatives, but they need to be explained further. If you are tech savvy, perhaps you can help. Wired, February 1st. New Mexico Governor Susan Martinez, who fired the state's environmental board on her second day in office, is cracking down on illegal immigration by allowing the police to investigate immigration status of criminals. Ironically, although she Hispanic and has a large Hispanic constituency, she is being accused of racism. Do you believe that? That's just like the Zionist Jews call any Jew that's against them and doesn't believe like the rest of us and their Zionist control over the Goyams are called self-race haters. I've heard that before. U.S. federal judge declares Obamacare unconstitutional in 26 state lawsuits because Congress exceeds its authority with regard to requiring citizens over 18 to purchase health insurance. This case will likely go to the Supreme Court. States don't have to wait for the courts. They can nullify this bad law right now and avoid further litigations. Bloomberg, January 31st. European study proposes an extra tax on meat and dairy products to reduce the consumption of those foods. Why? Because they say dairy animals are a major cause of global warming. Since global warming is a myth, we know that the real goal is merely to raise additional tax revenue, exactly as cap and trade is intended to do. This was reported MSNBC, January 31st. As the Egyptian government closes down the internet to prevent citizens from organizing protests, the U.S. government introduces kill switch legislation that will enable the president to do the same thing in America. Yes, the Marxist in chief. The Age, January 31st. U.S. rate of home ownership continues to fall, and nearly 11% of the houses are empty, even though the prices are also falling. Banks Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are holding hundreds of thousands of properties. Why do they hold them? Because they do not want to put them up for auction or reveal their true worth. They would rather hold the inventories and hope that eventually the government will bail them out by buying them at book value, not market value. In the end, us, the taxpayers, will pick up the loss. CNBC, January 31st. Darrell Issa, Republican California, has requested the government to provide him with the names of every person who has ever made a Freedom of Information Act request. Why? He says it is to make sure that the government isn't dragging its feet in complying with these requests. Sure, if that were true, all he'd need is a tally of requests and time delays. Why a list of names? This guy has a bad past, including allegations of arson and an indictment for car theft. Could the true motive be retaliation against those who are challenging government secrecy? From the Smirking Chimp, January 30th. U.S. 2 witnesses will testify at the trial of the underwear bomber who attempted to blow up Flight 253 on Christmas Day 2009 and brought us TSA. They observed him being assisted through security by men in suits who appeared to be government agents. The witnesses believed the incident was a setup by the U.S. government and that the man was given a defective bomb to provide a newsworthy event to further the war on terror, to install radioactive body scanners at airports and increase TSA's budget, and to renew the Patriot Act, which I signed a petition today to get rid of. These are videos to watch on YouTube. Anyone with this little camera here, just for a heads up on that. Another video. Toxic chemicals relating to crude oil are showing up in blood samples taken from Gulf residents. These chemicals can cause kidney damage and cancer. People can absorb these chemicals by touching the oil, breathing the fumes from it, or eating contaminated seafood. Yes, these people are getting boils and everything, and blood poisonings. It's bad. Mexico issues national ID cards with biometric iris scan technology to children ages 4 to 17 to protect them against baby trafficking and child prostitution, of course. Their parents will be next. Sign on San Diego, January 29th. U.S. Analysis Bank claims to be making a profit, but that is a bookkeeping trick. In spite of continuing foreclosures and bad loans, banks are reducing loan loss revenues. Heck, who needs to put money aside for losses when you can get a government bailout from the taxpayers? So take the money that will be needed to cover next month's losses and declare them as today's profits. And pay bonuses too. Business Insider, January 22nd. Another video. U.S. 2012 will be dubbed the Year of Youth. If the young Americans for liberty have their way, more than just enthusiasm, they have the understanding as well, worth supporting. YouTube posted. Here is their website, yalivity.org. Texas activist confronts Austin Chief Sustainability Officer as she confirms that the UN's Agenda 21 program, which she supports, which is reducing our population by any means, calls for reducing the population by 85%. She laughs when the issue is raised and says she's not concerned about that aspect of the program. This is a video. This is only one official out of thousands just like her in positions of government authority around the country. Be assured that she represents the norm and not the exception. These people are dead serious people. They want you dead. They want you off of the elitist property. They're working for these people, and they think they got a place in the future with them. They just don't realize that they'll be taken out like the brown shirts when it's all said and done. U.S. A congressional panel finds that the financial crisis occurred because government officials in the Fed and Wall Street ignored warning signs and failed to properly manage risk. The panel is referring cases to the Department of Justice to look into possible criminal prosecution. This is classic controlled opposition. First, there likely will be no prosecution of the people who were most responsible because they, too, or have too many friends in high positions. Second, the panel concluded that there is nothing wrong with the financial system itself, including the power of the Federal Reserve, only with the people who run it. However, until the banking cartel called the so-called Federal Reserve is abolished and the nation returns to sound money based on gold or silver, the problem will never be solved. The leftist theater of investigating, delivering, debating, and finger-pointing merely serves to perpetuate the system and keep the public from considering an alternative. Yahoo, January 27. Well, that's all I have time for. This is Spellbinder's Report. Be good at it. Good day.